So Papa Swolio made a video talking about Freelee and her specific viewpoints on, I guess, other people and veganism and how she addresses it. Now, I think a lot of the points that he made in this video are wrong, but I don't necessarily blame him. I think it's just something that he's never really thought about or had a chance to think about. Um, when people don't go into learning about ethics, this isn't something they'd really think of. But anyway, I'm not really going to address his video too much because one, my channel is really small. So if I want to kind of convince him that he's wrong on these points, it's not really going to help at all. So I'm just going to go into there are some criticisms that he has of her that I actually agree with, so I'm just going to focus on that, and some things that I actually agree with on about Freelee. So one thing that I actually agree with about Freelee is one thing that I actually like about Freelee is she is logically consistent with her beliefs. So the problem I have a lot with religious people is they are pretty inconsistent. So they have an umbrella where there are certain aspects of their beliefs that they will go along with, and when suit fits, they will suddenly change their belief to fit whatever they want it to be, and that is being inconsistent. And that basically makes whatever statements you make. So say I don't know that. Let's use the meat example. So let's say that I enjoy animals, but then I eat them. I'm being inconsistent because that statement isn't really true. Now, if we go into this, if we actually go into the specific traits, you just name the trait of an animal that you enjoy and then compare it to the ones that you eat, you'll find that you are actually you're going to either admit that you're going to be inconsistent, or you're just going to just not want to agree to this and just put a blanket over yourself or an umbrella over yourself and just avoid this. Avoid admitting to it. My problem, and which is something that Papa Swolio actually brought up, which is very good, is her way of trying to convince people of her position is, in my opinion, pretty wrong. If you want to convince someone of your opinion, you have to come from their perspective as well. You can't just shout at them and hope that something sticks with them. This is something that a lot of religious people do when they try to convert people, right? But if you try to come from their perspective and try to get them to help better understand your position, then you would be a lot more effective. Again, that is only if your goal is to convince someone to join your position. That's one thing that I dislike about her, but again, she is pretty consistent with her beliefs. I think I've seen one video where someone tried to claim that she views humans lower than animals, and I don't really see that unless someone wants to show me a video where she actually claims this specifically or implies it. But from her perspective, she sees uh, certain people who eat meat as very similar to people who have slaves. So if you just another example of being inconsistent, having a love for the human race or other humans, and then owning slaves, you're being inconsistent with your values because that statement is no longer true. So what her problem is that she sees that people who eat meat are basically no different from people who owned slaves. So she's obviously going to have a lot of emotional attachments to to her arguments, which isn't great. But once you try to see her perspective, you can kind of see where she's coming from, and that's where this guy just doesn't have that. He just hasn't made that connection yet, and that's just because he's never probably went into ethics before. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. Let me know what you guys think.